Hello, it's Les here. Today I'm going to review something a little bit special. That's this Pillar extra light titanium spoke. These are quite rare, they're not easy to get, but this is probably, well, it is the lightest metal spoke in the world, I think, that you can buy. So I got these from Taiwan. I will be talking about the spoke first and the nipple at the end of the second half of the video. There's quite a lot to say about the nipples. You have to buy the nipples with the spokes. They're special 13 gauge nipples. So they come free with the spoke. Okay, so I'll talk about the spoke itself first. So having a look at it, it's very well made. I'd give it a 9 out of a 10. They only sell the black finish now, and in fact, I just checked their website to check the specs, and the page for this spoke is gone. So if you want to buy this spoke, you better get it now, because I think they're going to stop production. I just have a hunch that they're not probably selling enough, and Bird has taken the lightweight spoke market, the polymer ones, and these aren't even on their website anymore. So, okay. So the thing that's unique, I guess, about this spoke is that it uses a 13 gauge on the ends. The thread is nice. I don't know whether it's cut or rolled. I think it looks rolled. I think the thread looks rolled to me, and then they cut off the end to suit the length. So it's a nice clean cut at the end. It's all very nice. They're very flexible. I'll mention it's almost comically flexible. Now it's 13 gauge at this end too. It's all very nice. It's got a P there. You can see as the logo, P for the logo on the heads. Not that I really. That's just to identify them. Okay, so it's a 13 gauge, 2.3 millimeter ends. It's 2 millimeter width in the butted section. And the blade, it's 0.9, I believe. So it's very lightweight spoke. Now, I didn't realize just how lightweight these were. When I first got the packet, I thought, oh, these don't feel that light. But when you pick up one, I weighed them at 2.6 grams each. So it was bang on target with the weight. 2.6 grams, that's incredibly light for a spoke, for a metal spoke. Other spokes, the lightest spoke that you're going to get before you start paying silly money is maybe 4.4, 4.5 grams for a Revolution spoke, or Aerolite spoke, I think they're called, or Sapim Laser or whatever. So 2.6 grams is crazy light. Depending on the number of spokes on your wheels, you can shave off more weight. On my wheel set that I'm building with this spoke, I think it's 28 spokes, 56 spokes. You can shave off maybe 100 grams off an already light wheel set by using these spokes. So, the thing is, I noticed that does kind of, if you look at this butted section, the area sort of does go, it's not constant, it kind of dips there in the middle. But it would be very hard to get that even, like a transition from 2.3 to 2 millimeters without that, because of the forming process, the forging. I think that'd be very hard. But so it does kind of, what I'm saying is it does kind of neck down. If I was to measure that this way, it would be less than 2 millimeters. Anyway, I'll forgive it for that. That angle there, I'm not sure of the exact angle of the spoke head, but one of the first things I noticed, I'm building this with a fairly normal set of hubs, XO hubs which aren't super expensive. The weight's at the middle of the wheel, so if I'm going to just use reliable hub and not spend crazy amounts of money, and then I'm getting a light rim. So here's what I noticed. On a hub like this that has these flanges like that, now I'll mention that, so this is 2.3 millimeters ends. This is a 2.7 millimeter holes, spoke holes drilled. And here's the thing, when I put it through, this is what I noticed. When you thread that through, it all fits fairly nicely. This is the thing about when you get more expensive parts, they're very fine tolerances, and getting things to work together is tricky. So I got interrupted. As you get more expensive parts, they fit together, the tolerances are less, so sometimes things don't work as planned. And I was getting worried for a couple of reasons. First, well, here's the thing. What I'm saying is this. When I laced it on, this is the angle of the spoke that I got. Like that, it won't come back more than that. It won't. If you have a radially laced wheel, you wouldn't be able to build a radial laced side with that angle there. It won't have the right angle. When that becomes cross, when I do this and it becomes like a 3-cross wheel, it does get a little bit more, what I'd say, acceptable level. But I was a little bit worried at first because, so when it's crossed, it seems to be fine. But if you were to do a radial lacing on some hubs, you will run into problems. You will run into problems with this spoke. And so you may need to drill out the holes, or you just won't be able to use these spokes with certain hubs at all. Now, I mentioned these are J spoke hubs, spokes. You can get the straight pull ones. Well, maybe not, because if they're not on the web page anymore, you might not be able to get them anymore. Anyway, the other issue is that on a disc hub, some of the holes here for the brake disc line up with the spoke holes. So sometimes it can be hard getting the spoke through. It can be hard because it's just hard because it's hard for me to explain, but if it's a 2.7 millimeter hole and it's a 2.3 millimeter spoke, it won't come in at an angle. You've got to put it in perpendicular exactly to the hole, and then you've got to bend the spoke like this. Now, fortunately, they are very flexible, but still, they're maybe perhaps not as easy to lace as 14 gauge nipples spokes. So, just be aware. I thought that I would have to drill out my hubs. I have made the front wheel already with these spokes, and that went together okay. I still got to true it a little bit. I think the rear hub is going to be a bit more difficult. As you can see, it's just going to be a bit more difficult because this flange is bigger and whatever. You might say, well, what's that got to do with spokes? Well, because they are thicker, right? So hopefully I won't have to drill out the hub flanges. So, is there anything more to say about the actual spoke? No, only that I weighed them at 2.6 grams. That's incredibly light. Okay, so now on to the nipples. The nipples, you can only get these nipples from Pillar. You can't seem to, I searched for months, you can't seem to find 13 gauge aluminium nipples. They're very rare, like no one else makes them. You might be able to find brass ones easily enough, but then why would you use a brass nipple on such an expensive spoke? You just wouldn't do that. So you pretty much have to accept Pillar's aluminium nipple. So let's look at the nipple a bit closer up. Oh, what I will say as well is this spoke has 10 millimeters of 9 or 10 millimeters of threads on the end. So 9 or 10 millimeters of threads on the end. The thing with the nipples, they are about 10 millimeters long. So they're a bit shorter than let me have a, I'll show you compared to a DT Swiss nipple. Right. The DT Swiss ones are 14 millimeters and the Pillar ones are, sorry, the DT Swiss ones are 12 millimeters for standard and these ones are 10 millimeters. So this is just an ordinary nipple that I picked out of there. There's a couple of things to say about it. It doesn't have any flats on the end or anything like this DT Swiss. The DT Swiss nipple has flats on the end, so you can only use a spoke key on it. Now with my spoke key, my spoke key, it wasn't that tight a fit. There was a bit of play, but okay, that's fine. So they're a bit shorter. Now here's the thing. On a DT Swiss nipple, I didn't really know this before, but the thread at the end, if you look down there, the thread does not go all the way to the end. There's maybe 2 or 3 millimeters, I don't know exactly, but there's 3 millimeters of leeway. So what that means is on a normal DT spoke, the nipple actually can go further in like that. With these Pillar spokes, it doesn't do that. If you screw it on, you screw the thing on, pretty much there's the end of the thread. I'll try and get that to focus. There's the end of the thread. You screw it on and it stops there. So what I'm saying is that I think the spoke length is much more critical, because on the DT Swiss spokes and nipples, the nipple goes beyond the thread and kind of hides the end. Whereas on this one, if you do it like that, what I'm saying is you end up seeing threads on your wheel build. Now I haven't completely tightened these up, but you can see 1 or 2 millimeters, probably 2 millimeters of threads showing. So I don't think they're going to disappear completely. The threads are not going to disappear. I don't think it's going to, with they're already that tight, I don't think I'll be able to get rid of the threads. The other thing is they are shorter nipples, so they just look a bit shorter there, So what I'm trying to tell you so far is the spokes are good. but the nipples are kind of, well, a bit of a hindrance because they're shorter. There's issues with them. I thought I might even need to drill out my rims because I thought they were larger in diameter. Now, a couple of other things about the nipples. Somewhere on Fairwheel bikes it says they need a 3.96 millimeter spoke key. So I went out and bought a 3.96 millimeter spoke key, expecting, like I thought, I'll preempt, I'll buy the spoke key so I'm not waiting around with parts here. I'll be able to build the thing straight away. And this doesn't fit. They've obviously changed the size, so be aware of that. If you buy these nipples, you'll get it. They're 3.2 millimeter nipples, I think. This works with those nipples. Now, what else? So I talked about that. Now, the actual quality of the nipples is not as good as DT Swiss. I'll give them like not even a 6 out of 10 for the nipples. I'll show you. The worst nipple I got was probably this one. Have a look at the quality of this nipple, which, as I say, you have to use it because you can't get any other nipples. So it's a bit ugly. It seems to have stuff on the faces, like I think it's forged, and I think the tooling has maybe oxidation on it or something. That's the worst nipple. I'll pick out another one at random out of here. Even the average, an average sort of nipple is not really, it's not, if you look at it, it's got kind of creases in it. Creases and things. They're not very nice nipples. Anyway, so I think that's all I got to say about everything. The other thing is the packaging. I got them in this packaging here. I got them from Vax's bike. Vax's bike is where I got them. The other thing is you have to buy them in lots of 8, I believe. So originally I was thinking, oh well, I could probably buy 7 lots of the same size. I happen to need 258 millimeters and 260 millimeters, so I thought maybe I should just buy 7 8s of 56 and then buy 259 millimeters and have one side 1 millimeter too short and the other side 1 millimeter too long and save myself $100. And I thought, no, actually I better not do that. I think I'll pay the extra and buy 8 times 8, 64, then have 8 spokes spare. I'm kind of glad I did that because I got the extra nipples, because I don't really want to use that particularly ugly nipple. So I'm kind of glad I bought the extras. But that bumps up the cost even more because you have to buy more than what you maybe need. I probably would have only liked to buy 4 extra spokes, not 8 extra spokes. But there you go. Yeah, anyway, they are more flexible anyway, weaving them in the other underneath the other spokes, so that was nice. They do twist up an extreme amount. See, this is why I haven't completely tensioned the wheel yet, because my spoke holder hasn't arrived, so I have to be able to hold the spoke so it doesn't twist. So, but that's a good thing about it because they're bladed. I probably won't be buying round spokes anymore because I don't know. I can't tell how much they twist as I'm tightening them up. But these, it's fairly easy to see the twist. So that's nice. Would I buy them again? There is another wheel build that I'm trying to get now. The rims are on the way. I may consider buying them again. Yes, I think they're very nice spokes. As I said though, the nipples are not as quality. It'll be, look, they're free. The nipples are kind of free. They're included in for each spoke, but I would actually prefer it if the nipples cost extra. If they made them better, to a better standard, I would be prepared to pay more. The other thing as well is there's only silver available. They have this kind of, there's no black option. They have this kind of very polished look about them. I think it's glossy anodized or something. They have this kind of glossy polished look, but it doesn't look that great because of all the creases and marks on the surface. So anyway, I thought, well, nipples are nipples. There's not going to be much in it, but I've learnt something about nipples. So, yeah, as it turns out, I didn't have to drill my rim, but yeah, I may actually have to. It's going to be difficult to build the rear one just because of the, because of the way the hub is. Anyway, so there you go. I hope I've given you some more information about that. What I like about them is I don't like the bird spokes because they look a bit amateurish to me. How the bird ones have, well, for starters, they're polyethylene. It's not that, I know it's ultra high molecular weight polyethylene, but it's still polyethylene. And then they sort of thread them on the end. It looks a bit cheap and nasty. I don't like spokes which are only 2 inches of metal and then the rest some other material. It looks a bit horrible. So it's nice to have something like this that's just as light pretty much and one like homogeneous material. So probably what I'll do is yeah, I would buy them again, but I'll probably be getting the straight pull ones next time because the hubs that I want to get are straight pull. Although I'm a bit reluctant to get the straight pull ones because calculating the length of them is a lot more difficult. So that's all I've got to say about the spokes. I've wanted to buy titanium spokes for like 30 years. In the 90s I was into lightweight bikes and I wanted them way back then, and I rang up America, I think it was Bike Pro, and they said, oh, you're gonna have to drill your hubs out. And I thought, oh, I don't know about that, I'll have to think about that. And then I didn't get them. So the wheel set I'm planning with is going to be a very light one. It's 26-inch wheel set with this rim, okay, and this hub, which is kind of heavy with these spokes. This is turning out to be a wheel set that's going to weigh about 1,025 grams. So that's pretty impressive without ridiculously expensive hubs. So I'm looking forward to trying that. The thing is, I'll put my ride impressions in the in the comments below after I go for a ride with it. It's very hard to make videos. It requires a lot more editing if I do the thing and then have to do the ride and then join the sections together. So I'm just doing it this way where I talk about the quality of the items and then I'll do the ride report in the comments and I'll let you know my impressions. I didn't actually buy these for the lightness of them. I actually have a problem with my wrists at the moment, and my hands are going numb. I've never had that before. So I'm trying all sorts of things like a new fork, a new handlebar, a new this, a new whatever, gloves. And I still have this numbness problem. So I was hoping that a carbon rim and these spokes would be more flexible and more forgiving and more vibration absorbing. So that's actually the main reason why I'm buying them. I'll pay anything at this point to get rid of my numbness. So I'll let you know. But the other thing is, it's very hard to tell when you have like multiple variables. Like if I've got a new rim and a new spokes, I can't ascertain what what's down to the rim and what qualities of because of the spokes. So you'll just have to take my ride report and with a pinch of salt. So that's it. Yes, thank you for watching.